Hi, I'm Wayne Ferree, professional stone carver, and today we're in Bedford, Indiana at the Kopelov Stone Company. And this is Kino Kopelov. He's going to talk to us and give us a little tour and show us what he does. So Kino, is this a limestone cut planter?
Yeah, it's a Luder's limestone, one of the Luder's gray, and I carved this for a kind of like a planter example of my work. So I came up with this, took some ideas from a French cathedral, a book of etchings, and I get a lot of ideas from old books of drawings, etchings, photographs of old buildings in Europe. And yeah, this is just sort of something I carved for an example and makes a good planter.
I think it's really beautiful. It looks like you've got like a Gothic beast here.
Yeah, it's rather mythical creatures, and the Luder's limestone is not holding up that well out here in Indiana. I carved this over 10 years ago in New Mexico.
The Luder's is from Kansas?
From Texas.
From Texas. This is Luder's limestone from Texas. It's a little different than Indiana limestone.
Yeah, almost like a mudstone. A little more, it's soft but dense, if that makes any sense.
But it really has it really holds detail well.
Yeah.
You did a wonderful job on this. I think it's quite beautiful. Got some other examples here.
Little bits and pieces from jobs, egg and dart. That was from a big house that went to New Jersey, big entryway. Planters that I turned. So I made an extra one for made a pair of them for somebody here in town in Bedford. And my friend Sean from San Francisco, an architectural stone carver, he was visiting. He carved this.
That's really nice. Now that would be an ashlar stone, correct?
Yeah, doing some wild ashlar type.
Yeah, ashlar stones are used to build walls, and there's some interesting textures there. It really makes for a wonderful building when you have all those different textures and incorporated with carvings and whatnot. This is really great stuff, Kino.
Yeah, this is done with a tooth chisel. This is broached, kind of a point chisel, margin, bush hammer. That's a crandall axe, done with an axe with a bunch of teeth.
We're going to have to take a look at that crandall axe when we get in the shop.
I'll show you that.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, kind of medieval looking tool. And this is the point done with a point chisel.
Okay, well let's get into the shop and see what's going on in there. So now we're looking at Kino's lathe. You turn columns of stone and make shapes with the lathe. But take it from here, Kino. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Yeah, maybe I should go back a little bit of a history of our company. My dad and I started out in masonry. I'm from New Mexico. We moved to Indiana in 2015. We bought this mill and we brought several machines. This is one of them. This lathe we used at our mill in New Mexico, and it's kind of a thing that's pretty rare, so we definitely were going to hang on to it when we moved and brought it out here. It weighs, the whole thing probably weighs over 50,000 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
It had to be taken apart in pieces and we reset it up here. It has a 5-foot face plate, and I could turn about 4 feet diameter over the apron here and turn even bigger diameter if it's a small
Are you saying you can turn up to how big of a diameter of a stone?
Right here I could turn 6'8", and that's working from the face.
6'8" long.
6'8" diameter.
In diameter.
And that would be something like a low planter.
Wow.
Anything longer I can only turn up to 4 feet diameter.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, let's move on to some other things.
This is a monument I just started last week, and it's kind of an interesting story. This is for the grandson of a pretty prominent carver and owner of a carving company in Bedford. I won't mention any names because I haven't gotten the permission to do that on this, but it's pretty cool to be working on something for a family that has quite a carving history here in Bedford, Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana has a great reputation for the Indiana limestone, which comes out of Indiana. And there's a lot of people here who work the limestone. It's a generational thing, and there's been a lot of documentation on it. I think there was a movie called Breaking Away. It was about the people who worked on the limestone here in Indiana. Very interesting. Okay, now what do we have over here, Kino? Looks like
We have
a lathe that's been turned into a brunch table.
Yeah, it's a small planer. It has an 8-foot table. We had a little Stone Carvers Guild meeting, kind of show and have fun this morning, so coffee and bagels on here.
Yeah. Well, let's look at some of the other planers. We can get a better view of what's going on. We've got 3 planers here.
So this is a New Albany planer, made down in New Albany, Indiana, probably turn of the century. And that was made here in Bedford. That's Bedford machining tool planer. These were specifically made for stone. And a lot of the differences, well, they don't have T-slots for locking down metal, and they're just a little bit different, but pretty much work the same way.
So what happens is, this long bed that you see here with the stone on it, it actually travels back and forth, and the material gets scraped off by the blade, which you can see right here.
Yeah, this was from a previous job, so it has a profile. The stone that's on here, I'm going to switch the tool out and just do a flat plane on it, just to take off the top and bring it down the sides.
So what happens is, this bed that the stone is on travels into the blade, and the blade cuts a certain amount, anywhere from a 1/16 to maybe an 1/8 of an inch at a time, and then the table comes back out. You lower the tool a 1/16, maybe even a 32nd to get the next cut, and eventually you come down to this shape of the tool. And there's many different tools, and we'll show you some examples of all the different tools in just a few minutes. So now also Kino has a great big saw over here. We're going to show you that. Give them a little information on your saw there, Kino.
Yeah, this is a 5'4" blade, and we can cut about 26 inches thick.
26 inches that'll cut.
And it's a turntable, it's semi-programmable, so we can cut blocks. We usually buy slabs. At this time, we don't have a way to slab some of the quarry blocks, so we buy our slabs from the quarries here and then cut it down further with this saw. We will be getting our wire saw going here in the next year or so.
So you're saying that this table will turn?
Yes, this
rotates
360? Indefinitely.
Okay, 360?
360 degrees. This cart moves in and out, and it's programmable to cut different widths.
Okay,
a lot of times we run it manually.
Right. And then the water from the saw goes into the drain, is that correct?
Yes, drains.
And then it goes out to a pool of water. It's Indiana limestone, so it's not really an environmental hazard or anything like that.
No, it's just calcium carbonate.
Calcium carbonate. All right. Well, this is what a stone shop looks like. It's dusty, lots of dust. That's what it takes to get the job done. Looks like we've got another saw here, another big saw.
Yeah, this is older, it's called a post saw, and when we moved here in 2015, the previous company was using this saw, but it needed a lot of work, very loose, not very accurate, and the cart itself was in really bad shape, rusting out, falling apart.
So where is the cart now?
The cart is taken outside,
Okay.
and we're going to restore this saw eventually, and we'll rebuild the whole track.
Yeah, it looks like a
Probably
dandy, and it telescopes up and down, correct?
Yes, it does raise and lower. The whole beam raises and lowers, which is very interesting. It's an old style way of building a saw, and it's definitely
Okay.
worth restoring.
Yeah, and when we say a cart, we're talking about something that runs on these railroad tracks.
Yeah,
Back
it
and
looks very
forth.
similar to that cart.
Very similar to this cart, which we looked at earlier. It runs back and forth on railroad ties, so you can get it under the saw where you need it. Very interesting. Okay, Kino, show us some of your planer blades. There's all sorts of shapes for cutting different size moldings and whatnot in the limestone. And it's really interesting to look at all these shapes. It's usually made out of 3/4 to 1 inch steel, and then carbide is brazed onto them. A really hard substance that scrapes the stone to the shape that you need.
Yeah, depending on the job, a lot of these I can use on many jobs, and I try to, whenever I can, to not have to make new tools for every job.
Oh, absolutely.
There's radius tools I use on many jobs. Sometimes I even have to just regrind to make them work for a slightly different shape. There are projects where I have nothing that fits it, and I have to make new tools or have a company make tools for me. So I do make my own, but when I get into bigger jobs where I have many tools, it's better off that I have another company make them.
Yeah, great. Okay, so Kino's going to show us some of the stone carving tools that he's got. These tools all are shaped at the end, so they are shaped in a shank, a round shank at the end. All sorts of different shapes for different sorts of stone cutting that you need to do. It always helps to have a certain tool for a certain thing. And these are the hammers that are used. And can you explain a little bit about the hammer, Kino?
They're pneumatic hammers, and most of them have a 1/2 inch shank. There's a piston that runs up and down inside here with the pneumatic, the air.
It's basically an air-driven elbow. Because if you were doing it with the hand tools, you'd be wearing out your elbow. But instead, you've got this pneumatic tool that pushes the tool forward, which really is a time saver. And that's been, how long have we had pneumatic hammers? At least a century, is that correct?
Yes, I think probably the earliest ones were late 1800s, and they became really the prominent tool in stone mills and for carvers in early 1900s.
Yeah, now wouldn't Michelangelo, wouldn't have been able to milk his jobs as long if he had one of these, right?
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows if he had a bunch of slaves working on those statues, but we hope not.
But we know that there was a lot of elbow grease and a lot of imagination and talent, right?
Definitely.
Okay, so we've got some other tools here I want to take a quick look at. Here's a lot of the other tools here. Kino's got them laid out. No, you don't worry about that, Kino. We got all this here to look at. Look at all the different shapes for the different things that has to be done.
Gouges with teeth,
Yeah.
smooth gouges, bull noses, flat tools with teeth. You know,
Now,
there's just,
a lot of people want to know where to get tools, and we're going to have a video coming out about where to have tools made in Indiana here, where all this work is done. It's done all over the country, but Indiana limestone in Indiana, this is the hub. This is the center of it all. Well, thanks a lot, Kino, for sharing your information. Now, Kino Kopelov Cut Stone here in Bedford, Indiana. We here can make just about anything you would need for an architectural or sculptural application. You could put a relief carving into a brick wall. You could have a bird bath made, a garden bench. The products are endless, and Kino can do it all right here at Kopelov Stone Company. Thank you very much, Kino, for sharing your story with us.
yeah, and you're an incredible carver yourself.
Well, thank you, sir, as are you.
Thank you.
So, Kino, what do we got going on here?
I have several things out here that are for sale. Monuments, bird bath. This was taken from an idea, an old marble monument with a boy reaching up to the sunflower. I decided to omit the boy and just carve the sunflower. And
Yeah, that looks great.
Indiana limestone.
So that's a potential headstone?
Yes.
Okay.
Could be also something at an entryway.
It could even be a garden feature.
Yes.
Yeah. And this bird bath is quite nice. It looks like a tree, like a tree. It says it looks like wood.
Yeah.
And
there was a lot of this done around the turn of the century.
It's real shallow too, which is ideal for a bird bath.
Yeah, rustic, bark,
Yeah.
meant to look like tree bark, and
It looks good. Now,
shallow bird feeder.
and then we got these potential headstones here.
Yeah, these are for sale, and I make them as I have time in between other jobs, and can customize them for people. Put different designs, lettering styles,